not his least. Dick started his professional comedy career in the early 80s at the Houston Comedy Workshop alongside of Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison, and T. Sean Shannon of Saturday Night Live fame. He continues to perform on cruise ships and comedy clubs, and now I'm so honored and thrilled to introduce you one of Country Place's talented residents, Dick Kendall.
Let's hear it for Dick Kendall. Come on.
I'd like you to know, tonight he's entertaining. This entertainment tonight is his next to the last thing on his bucket list.
Okay, I appreciate the applause when I came up. At my age, I need all the help I can get. But if you think I'm old, you should know my dad. He lived to be 95. I said, Dad, what's the best thing about being 95? No peer pressure. But Dad was a great guy. He's always doing things for other people. He was driving until he was 93, not with me in the car. I told that to a friend one time. He says, yes, I want to die quietly in my sleep the way my grandfather did. Not screaming the way the passengers in his car were. So I told Dad that he quit driving. One thing Dad always had time for, though, was coupons. He didn't want to get behind in the grocery store. In fact, one time we were going to lunch. It was my wife and my anniversary day. He looks over at me and says, Dick, I know this is a special occasion for you. We want to take you someplace really nice and want you to choose. Pick any coupon you want. So I thought I'd kid him. I said, Dad, you're not going to die till you find a coupon on a funeral. My mother said, well, I sure hope it's not buy one, get one free. And by the way, to show you what kind of sense of humor she had, several years later, Dad died a few months before she did. We took her out to the funeral home, brought out the check for Dad's funeral. She took one look at that check and said, gee, I wish she'd found that coupon. Well, I've been having a little trouble getting started as a young comic. No, my friends tell me what the problem is. I know you've noticed we might as well talk about it, but I'm distinguished. And I can't help it. I don't look this way because I want to. I've always looked this way. When I was a little kid, the other kids would be out playing ball. I'd be sitting around the house looking distinguished. One Halloween, my friend went as Batman. I dressed as Alfred the Butler. Of course, then I got older, my sideburns turned gray. Of course, now it's all turned loose. You know, they say if you get bald up here, you're a thinker. If you got to get bald back here, you're a lover. You get bald both places, you just think you're a lover. Some of you guys should not be laughing at that. No, I did start as Barb told you, I did start professionally in comedy in 1984. The main reason for that was 1983. You ever had one of those bad years? That was a bad year for me. I started wearing glasses for the first time, made me feel older. Got divorced after 25 years of marriage, and I had a root canal. Actually, after the divorce, the root canal was almost fun. It gave me laughing gas for the pain. It only took an hour, and I didn't have to pay alimony to my dentist. But you know, it's been a good while now. I'm beginning to see my ex-wife in a little better light. I've been married to this wonderful woman now for 25 years. My ex-wife, she had some good points. She was a good housekeeper, excellent housekeeper. So when we got divorced, she kept the house. But I think the worst thing about being single at middle age is learning to date all over again. 5 years. And I want you to know I tried everything in the dating game. I tried dating younger women, but I got tired of explaining World War II to my date. But I had one night, bless her heart, she really tried. She asked questions like, who won? And I couldn't remember. So I lied and said Argentina. And I tried dating older women. I had one that had to get up every few minutes and stomp her foot to get the circulation going again. I called her Thumper. You know, the young folks in the clubs just love that one. I'm not sure about you. I've got a few thumpers here. No, that's not true, I know. But I think the worst thing about being single at middle age are the singles bars. Don't go to those places. They got a language all their own. They always ask you what your sign is. I'm a Pisces with Gemini rising. Pisces a fish, so I swim with the flow. Gemini's twin, so I'm playful. How about you? I've got a 2-for-1 coupon at the Red Lobby. And my father is rising from his grave. But then the women, at those places, the women always ask the men what kind of car they drive. Because I lose it completely when I said a Plymouth. I don't want to knock a Plymouth. A Plymouth's a good car, but it's kind of like making love to an ugly woman. Gets you where you want to go, but you don't brag about it. Okay. Every now and then somebody gets offended at that, and I'm never sure whether it's a Plymouth driver or an ugly woman. I don't know, an ugly woman that drives a Plymouth, I don't know. No, and I want you to know that's probably about as racy as it gets from here on, okay? We'll do all right. Well, I'm delighted to be here tonight performing for you folks because you live in absolutely the most wonderful community in the world. And I'm so delighted that you let me live here too, because it is the most, and the reason it is because of you people. Now the reason I was delighted when they asked me to come entertain you is, I can't do all the stuff that you folks do. I was out on my walk several years ago, and people were planting flowers. One of them looked up at me and said, well, you could help. And I thanked them for the, you don't want me in your garden. I kill things. I'm surprised my wife and dog and cat have survived. I don't do that. I don't do all the other things. My neighbor Sandy and Merv, they're in organizing all kinds of, all the rest of you. You're in the theater, you're all that stuff. The only thing I can do is make people laugh. So I'm glad you're letting me do that and sharing some of that with you so that I can be part of this wonderful community. And by the way, you may have noticed that my name was spelled wrong on the cover of the magazine this month. Now, Barb had almost made me promise not to say anything about it, but I just have to. It's pretty obvious, Fortunately, they got it right other places and all. And so I told Barb, she called me and she was so apologetic. And there it was, already in print. What could she do? She called me, I said, Barb, don't worry about it. It happens to me all the time. This is an absolute true story, I swear. I was playing at the Riviera Comedy Club in Las Vegas. I've always wanted to see my name in lights on the strip in Las Vegas. And sure enough, I went out there, 10-foot high letters in lighted lights that you could see way down the strip. And guess what? They spelled my name wrong. And the fellow who did the oh, what is this you're lighting up here? Good. Show everybody. Now that's pretty nice. I appreciate that. The one thing about it is, you folks will probably remember it better now than you would have anyway. And of course, the guy in Las Vegas, the guy who changed the signs, only worked on Sunday night. So for a solid week, I was Dick Kendall. My college roommate loves to go to Las Vegas. His wife came out to see me, and he heard about the name problem. So I said, well, Bob, I'll meet you in the lobby of the hotel. So I go there. He has a chauffeur's cap on and a sign that says Kendall. So we had a lot of fun with it. Then everybody said, well, you've had, at least in your shows, we did 2 shows a night that week. And they said, at least in your shows, you could have fun with that. I said, no. One of the other comics, who was a friend of mine, had a better story. And so we let him tell the story. Here it was. His name's Tommy Drake, D-R-A-K-E. And the first show that he ever saw his name out on the billboard, he was in a little town up in Iowa somewhere, and he drove up to this club, and there was his name on the billboard, and they had spelled it Drac. So he went in and he told them, says, I appreciate you putting my name up there, but you spelled it right. They said, we need the E for the word tonight. good to be with a bunch of people who catch that joke. I don't know, I was supposed to do this entertainment in 2008. And I don't know if you remember 2008, but we had two things that happened, fairly important. The stock market crash, I'm sure affected a lot of you, and Hurricane Ike, which not only affected a lot of us, but affected this building. And just before I was going to perform in this building, the engineers came in and said, the ceiling is apt to fall down. Now folks, I brought the house down before, but that's ridiculous. So just as soon as they could, just almost immediately, they got me back. Now if you call 5 years, almost immediately. But it's pretty good. I've gotten funnier since then, so it's all right. It worked okay. So anyway, I really am delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be living in this wonderful community. And now I get to give back to some of it, and so that's really good. I appreciate you being here and laughing with me. I dropped out of comedy in the 90s and got back into it about 10 years ago. My career had been going pretty good. As I said, I've been out in Las Vegas at the Riviera Comedy Club. You can see me on that new TV show, The Last Comic Breathing. I've already beaten out Bob Hope, Belgian Burl, some really good ones. And then I've done cruise ship comedy. And that's a great gig. How many of you have been on cruises? Let's see your hands. Ooh, golly, just about all of you. Okay. Well, when I'm off in Reno or somewhere, I'll find the river and I say, gee, I guess the boats don't come up the Truckee River or something in Reno. But I guess they do come up Buffalo Bayou, don't they? That's not a bad deal. Well, you folks, we always worry about the seasickness problem on the cruise ships. I never get sick, and you people know why. I don't want to get my face that close to the vacuum toilet. Now, if you hadn't been on a cruise ship, they all got vacuum toilets, they'll suck your lips right on down. Did you enjoy the buffet, Mr. Kendall? I don't know, the food kept falling out, right? But I don't trust those toilets. For one thing, there were a couple of people I didn't see after the first day of the cruise. Very little people, I think the toilets got them. And I was on a cruise ship not long ago, a couple of years ago. They had little signs by all the vacuum toilets that do not flush while seated. Gives a whole new meaning to going down with the ship. And by the way, if you hadn't been on a cruise, and not many of you have failed to do so, but if you hadn't, they've all got vacuum toilets, and I will warn you, the water in the toilets is seawater. You don't know what's in that water, maybe sharks in there. Could be the great white butt-biting shark. It's actually a very small shark that only bites great white butts. So you black people are safe. Skinny people, you're okay. No, but I know some of you here, I'm sure not anybody of our neighbors here, but some people do handle the seasickness problem on the cruise ships the old-fashioned way. You stay drunk for the whole trip. And of course that works. I mean, you still throw up, you just don't know what caused it. And by the way, I was on a cruise ship about 3 or 4 years ago in a hurricane. The ship was bouncing up and down. One guy was so drunk he was walking straight. But with all the drinking that goes on, nobody ever gets out of line. So one guy I need to tell you about. One night I was going to bed early, wasn't working that night, trying to get a good night's sleep. There's a knock at the door. Go to the door, there's a drunk standing there. Is this my room? I said, no, it's not your room, it's my room. I closed the door, went back to bed. 3 more times that guy comes back. I thought if he comes back one more time, I'm going to invite him in, tell him to have a seat, and then flush it. Sure enough, knock on the door, go to the door, same drunk. Is this my room? I said, no, it's not your room, it's my room. Well, damn, you got every room on the whole ship. And I can relate to that from both sides of the door. No, I don't drink anymore myself. Don't drink any less. And I don't do drugs. At my age, I get the same effect standing up real fast. Who needs pot? I've got lazy boy. No, but if you've been on the cruise, I know you've been on the tours. You know, they always take you to these foreign countries and you have to go on a tour. Then after the tour, what do? They take you by the shopping mall or the shopping area or what have you. And the women take the men along so they can answer this question. How much is that in America? That's what you hear all the time. We men take our calculators out and lie to them so they won't spend too much. And then one lady was into that so much, we were in China, she went down the menu in the restaurant, how much is that? How much is that? He didn't know how much it was in Chinese, you know, but she did. And that woman would get on every tour bus, sit on the front row and ask the stupidest questions. We were in China just before the Olympics. This guy, tour guide, was so proud of what they were doing for that. He said, that stadium will seat 87,000 people. She says, how much is that in America? So we got our calculators, figured about 23,000. Those Chinese kind of little people. You're a slow crowd, but you're good. Some of you are going to have a great time tonight. Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, that's funny stuff. No, what I love about China, though, I know some of you have been there, was a Great Wall. I went out to the Great Wall, and I see things different than other people, but I was, you know, they got a walkway up on top, and there was a lady who had a card table with a telephone on it. She had no sign, she didn't speak English, but the sign that said in English, you can call anywhere in the world 3 minutes for $10. I thought, that's too good a deal to pass up. So I gave her my $10. I called my daughter, who's in the back of the room now, they're running the camera. I called her, and she was in Austin. I called her, I said, Susie, I'm calling you from atop the Great Wall of China. They have a phone up here. She says, do they have a clock? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Then she said this, what kind of phone is that? I said, it's a wall phone. That's a test. I think you're my crowd. We're on a tour in San Francisco. We're in, and they've got little seabirds there, big seabirds. They got long pointy wings, and they walk everywhere. They're always in front of you. I asked the tour guide, I said, what kind of a bird is that? He says a tern, T-E-R-N, tern. Now don't give that a line like that to a comic. You got two birds walking side by side, you got a left turn, you got a right turn. Two thieves are stealing the birds. One of them goes in where they're roosting, steals a bird. The other one comes out, the other, they're taking turns. Bad idea. My favorite, though, is a bird goes out behind a restaurant. They've thrown out some apples. They sat in the sun all day and fermented. The bird ate them till they were alcoholic, ate them till he got drunk, fell over on his back, and that, of course, was an apple turnover. Politicians like puns, though. This was in the paper several years ago. You may have seen it. Our State Department has sent a table tennis team to China on a goodwill mission. And now the Chinese invented table tennis, but our team won. Well, two of our senators, Howard Fong of Hawaii, William Spong of Virginia, got together and sponsored a bill asking the churches in Hong Kong to ring their bells to welcome our victorious table tennis team out of China. It failed to pass because they insisted on calling it the Spong Fong Hong Kong Ping Pong Ding Dong Bell Bell. Now, if you want to go home and call your grandchildren, tell them that practice. Don't do that off the cuff. Now, I've been doing some retirement parties. I'm sure you're not surprised. And that's easy because I just tell people what I've learned as I've gotten older. One of the things I've learned is I look better in a suit than I do naked. Another thing I've learned is if you're over 40, don't make love with your bifocals on. There's a reason why God took that close-up vision away from us. Some of you are enjoying this entirely too much. Another thing I've learned is, if one of those old guys asks you if you got any last night, he's probably talking about sleep. And then something else I've noticed. You probably noticed this too. All of the ads for senior citizens are written by kids. They haven't got a clue. I'll give you an example. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver. No, it's not. It just beats the heck out of dying. I think their slogan ought to be, old age is hell. Maybe this pill will help. And of course, I get a lot of my humor from Country Place that you can figure. I'll tell you where some of it is. Some of it you just have to guess. But you might remember, several years ago, they were trying to sell some lots here, and everybody was coming down to shop for a house. And some kid in the marketing department at U.S. Home put a billboard out on the freeway that said, "You can retire any place, but live it up in Country Place." I thought the billboard should have said, "If you were old, you'd be home now." But I get a lot of humor out of Country Place, trust me. And by the way, I doctor it a little bit. But some of you may remember several years ago, we had a Valentine's dance at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, of course, I tell my club audiences that that's every year. And I think that's so, and I tell them, I think that's so if you get turned on dancing with your wife, you can go home and make love, be through in time for the early bird special at the Golden Corral. But I think my favorite story is about the 5 old widowers got together every morning for coffee. One of them turns 85 to celebrate his birthday. The other 4 go together, hire a hooker to go to his house. She goes to his house, she says, "I'm here to offer you super sex." He says, "I'll take the soup." I told that to an 84-year-old friend of mine not long ago. He said, "She didn't come to my house." So there is hope, and it's called Viagra. And I don't take Viagra myself, I take Viatran. That's half Viagra and half tranquilizer. Makes you want it, but if you don't get it, you don't really care. Now, as you can see, since I'm still working, I didn't retire when I could have, and I had plenty of money. Before the crash of '08 that we talked about, I had enough money to live comfortably the rest of my life. I still do, I just have to die a lot sooner. But people ask me why I got back into comedy at my ripe old age, and I say because laughter is so important. It had been proven that 15 minutes of laughter is better for your heart than 30 minutes of exercise. Look at Dick Cheney. You ever see that man laugh? How many heart attacks has that guy had? I mean, he shoots lawyers and doesn't laugh, and that's funny stuff. But laughter saved my life. It removes the fear, or at least it makes it less awful. The only place it has not worked is flying, and I have to travel more and more, and I hate flying. Actually, it's not the flying I hate, it's crashing and burning I don't like to think about. And by the way, does it bother anybody else? Why, when you go to take a flight, do you go to a terminal? It sounds like a cancer clinic to me. Now again, you remember the shoe bomber that we had 10, 15 years ago? And I had a bomb in his shoe. Well, ever since then, I know you, if you travel any at all, you know this. We've been taking off our shoes, putting them in the little conveyor deal and all that. This last bomber, a couple of years ago, had it in his underwear. I could hardly wait for my next flight. But no, now they have machines that will see through your clothing. And they're not new. I thought those up in the 7th grade. And by the way, speaking of the 7th grade, one of the things my wife does not let me have fantasy football because she's afraid that I will have a fantasy cheerleading squad. And that's a whole different kind of fantasy. I thought that up in 7th grade too. But I went out to the airport several years ago. I was going to Honduras. And I went out, they fly you from here to there. One of the airline is SASA, S-A-H-S-A, the official airline of Honduras. Fly you down there, they fly you from here to there in a 737. Once they get you down there on their territory, you're flying in DC-3. Now folks, the DC-3, as you know, was old in World War II. So I'm standing on a dirt runway, waiting to get on a DC-3 that has SASA on the tail. Lady in front of me lived there. I said, by the way, what does S-A-H-S-A stand for? She said, stay at home and stay alive. But I got on the plane anyway, which says a lot for Honduran tequila. But I read something disturbing the other day. It said that less than 75% of Americans fasten their seatbelt in cars where it's been proven it will save your life. 100% of the passengers on a plane fasten their seatbelts where it won't do you one damn bit of good. But we tighten them down, don't we? I mean, I get mine so tight I think if we hit a mountain, only the top half of me would go out through the front of the cockpit. You know, the cockpit, that little room where the pilots have their AA meeting. You're a slow crowd, but you're getting better. Try to think about that one. Finally had a stewardess that had a sense of humor, though. The other day, she said, if you're traveling with a small child, place a mask over your nose and mouth before assisting the child. If you're traveling with 2 children, decide which one you like best. If you're traveling with 3 children, you might try contraceptives next time. And so that can be a lot of fun. People ask me where I get my material, and I say I just look for stupid stuff, and it's everywhere. Like this business of same-sex marriage. What's the big deal? We've had that forever. You get married, you have the same sex over and over and over. Stupid stuff about doctors. My wife had an eye infection. The doctor prescribed steroids. She took 4 shots a day for 7 days. End of 7 days, her eye wasn't any better, but she hit 3 home runs and pitched a no-hitter. Stupid stuff. Academy stores. We've got one out here now, but the one out on the Katy Freeway has an escalator to the 2nd floor where you can buy a stair climbing machine. Now, I can't go in that place myself. I'm in the fitness protection program. My attitude about exercise is no pain, no pain. Works for me. But stupid stuff, stupid. A friend of mine told me he got arrested for having sex with a mannequin. I said, that's not against the law. He said, during store hours. And then I get stupid stuff. I've got some stupid stuff around here, and I might as well tell you about it. And if you wonder, sometimes people wonder where comedians get their material. Well, here's one where I did. I was on my morning walk around the lake. I used to go out there. Now I'm taking an evening walk. I don't want to walk people's backyard at nighttime. But a lady had hung 2 birdhouses on a tree limb about that high. All the rest of my walk, all I could think about is, what on earth was she thinking? Why did she put those birds? Well, here's the joke that came out by the end of my walk. My neighbor has a birdhouse 2 feet off the ground. I said, why'd you put the birdhouse so low? It's not a birdhouse, it's a cat feeder. Stupid stuff about tattoos. Now, I'm sure you folks can relate to that, but I'm in a comedy club with a lot of young people. Most of them have tattoos, so I have to say real quick, yours are not stupid. But when I was a little boy, and some of you I'm sure can relate to that, tattoos usually had to do with World War II and a heck of a lot of alcohol. Now, everybody's got them, and the kids call them tats. I think that's so they can save time on their text message. You know, if you got time to sit 3 hours in excruciating pain in a tattoo parlor, you got time to put 2 more O's in your text message. But I had a lady come into one of my shows at the comedy club, sat right down in the front of the stage. She had tattoos up one arm across both breasts and down the other arm. She had on kind of a low-cut dress. She caught me looking. I had to say something, so I said, Nice cats. I guess I don't need to say that's kind of a tit for tat joke. And by the way, since we're into that, I might as well mention, Barb said it would be okay for me to sell some of my CDs and DVDs back in the back room after the show. And by the way, if you don't want to buy anything, don't sneak out. You know, just come by and say, I'm broke, lost all my money in the stock market like you did. It doesn't really matter. It gives me a chance to visit with folks, and I love doing that. But on that, those are both the same show. If you want to watch it at home, get the DVD. If you want to listen to it in the car, get that. And they are a little bit bluer than this. I've removed a few of them, not much. Don't take it to the Sunday school class, okay? I'm just warning you. Okay, so we will do that. Stupid stuff. I went to a swimming pool party. It wasn't in this neighborhood, by the way. They had a sign by the pool. We don't swim in your toilet, don't pee in our pool. So I wrote a note on it. You're perfectly welcome to swim in my toilet. Now I can pee in your pool. Somebody found the note and they stopped the party. Everybody went home. I went home there, they were swimming in my toilet. So I peed on it. No, stupid stuff. Do you realize in another 30 or 40 years, we're going to have little old ladies in nursing homes named Bambi and Heather? She'll have a tattoo on her left breast. Used to be a cute little unicorn. Now it's just a giraffe with a horn. Well, you know, I always get after the show on the cruise ships. I'm on the ship for 4 or 5 days, and let me tell you what: if you bomb on a cruise ship, you're on that cruise ship for 4 or 5 days, and you got to look at those people. And I did that, by the way. I know that sound. But people are always coming up telling me their favorite jokes, and I'll share one with you, and then we'll close with this. A salesman told me this story. A salesman calls a house, little boy answers. Little boy says, "Hello." Salesman says, "Little boy, is your mother home?" "Yeah." "Could I talk to her?" "No, she's busy." "Well, little boy, is your daddy home?" "Yeah." "Could I talk to him?" "No, he's busy too." "Well, little boy, are there any other adults at your house?" "Yeah, the fireman." "The fireman? What are they doing?" "They're talking to my daddy." "Anybody else?" "Yeah, the policeman." "The policeman? What are they doing?" "They're talking to my mama." "Little boy, what are those people doing at your house anyway?" "They're looking for me." Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I know you've had a lot to eat. I kept telling Barb, let's don't start before they're through eating. They'll get potatoes up their nose. And we're not giving you CPR. So. But I do want to say this. One, I want to thank you very much for letting me come and entertain and laugh with you. The other thing I want to say is this. Barb asked me, she said, she got me lined up, and she said, "What is your fee?" And I said, "Barb, I have gotten as little as $50, and I've gotten as much as $2,000. But since I'm giving this to my home community, it's going to be the $2,000. Thank you so much. You've been great.
Wasn't he great? Wasn't he great?